This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WXCO Daily News Roundup for Bull Falls Radio, 98.9 FM and 1230 AM in Wausau.
For WXCO News, I'm Brittany Merlot. Hovde has spoken. Stuart Waddles explains.
The former Senate candidate put out a message on social media yesterday with the word concession missing.
Many people have been wondering why I have remained quiet since election night. I believe it's better not to comment until I have the facts. Wisconsin Election Commission is in the final process of finalizing the canvass from last Tuesday's election. Many people have reached out and urged me to contest the election. While I'm deeply concerned, asking for a recount is a serious decision that requires careful consideration. Further, there are meaningful limits on a recount because they don't look at the integrity of a ballot.
Hovde's down about 29,000 votes to incumbent Tammy Baldwin. His social media message included reasons why he thinks something was off with the election and mentioned the Milwaukee vote. The city vote comes in late due to state law that remained unchanged from 2020. The Republican offered no proof of misconduct. Despite Hovde's claims, most news organizations have called the race for Baldwin. In the statement, Hovde said once the final information is available, he'll announce his decision on how he'll proceed.
And a lady's death is now being investigated as a homicide, and the Price County Sheriff's Office says a suspect is in custody. A body was found the evening of Sunday, November 3rd, around 9 p.m. along State Highway 13, near Whitby Road in the township of Hackett, which is just north of Prentice. The woman was a 28-year-old from Marshfield, and her death was investigated as a domestic violence incident, and officials also believe that she was likely killed in the city of Marshfield. 38-year-old Devin Castro Gutierrez, also from Marshfield, was arrested on Monday in connection to her death. Gutierrez is currently being held at the Wood County Jail on charges of suspicion of first-degree intentional homicide. After arguments on Monday, the state Supreme Court seems likely to strike down the 1849 abortion law. Stuart Waddles reports.
Justice Jill Karofsky warned that keeping the old law could harm women and children in the state. The state attorney general argued that newer abortion laws have replaced the old one. A lawyer for Sheboygan County argued that the 1849 law is still valid.
And the city of Wausau votes to appoint a new police and fire commission. At Tuesday night's meeting, Wausau's Common Council voted 9-0 to appoint Vilas Leskis to the Police and Fire Commission. This came after failing at the council's previous meeting. Those in opposition to his appointment said his resume was not complete and it did not have enough information. Wausau Mayor Doug Dinney took some responsibility for the lack of information and said that he filled out the forms because Leskis was out of state at the time. Alder Terry Killian said she supported Leskis' appointment during the meeting and that the decisions should be based on credible information and not a witch hunt. And are there more than 10,000 additives in U.S. food products? Wisconsin Watched checked this claim. Here's Trisha Young with more.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson claimed in September that he heard that there were 10,000, quote, ingredients, unquote, allowed in U.S. food. The FDA estimates over 10,000 chemicals are authorized, including food additives and colorants. In 2011, the Institute of Food Technologists reported 66% were agency approved, with manufacturers deeming the rest safe without FDA review. Lead researcher Thomas Neltner now estimates the count has risen to 11,000 chemicals. I'm Trisha Young for Wisconsin Watch.
And gas prices in Wausau today range from $2.69 to $2.77, with a state average at $2.81 per gallon. As we celebrate Veterans Day this month and continue to thank those that served, it's also a good time to take a hard look at the difficulties that our service members face. Melissa Kay explains.
In Wisconsin, over 37% of service members find it difficult to cover expenses. According to recent Household Pulse survey data, members of the armed services are experiencing financial strain at higher rates than the general U.S. population. Over 40% of service members report difficulty covering their usual household expenses, compared to 36.6% of all U.S. adults, while over 71% of the general population stress about recent price increases. Nearly 80% of military personnel share similar feelings. A key issue service members frequently raise is that their basic allowance for housing has not kept pace with the rapidly rising cost of housing.
Fall colors are past peak across the state now, and national conservationists are working to protect some of the state's oldest trees. The U.S. Forest Service has put together the National Old Growth Amendment that would help protect what are called the old growth forests. The goal is to conserve and restore mature forest conditions on federal land. Wisconsin-based forestry consultant Jeff Nisa supports expanding the acreage, describing it as an underrepresented landscape in the Badger State.
Foresters have a long-range perspective on managing ecosystems, not just trees, and we have a better concept of what we started with if we have saved all the pieces in some of our forest ecosystems and types.
And as we know, Wisconsin has some federal land with old-growth forests up in the North Woods, and also toward Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Former NFL coach Jack Del Rio's brief tenure with the University of Wisconsin has come to an end after a drunk driving incident. Stuart Waddles has the details.
Del Rio, who joined the Badgers staff as a senior advisor earlier this year, was arrested Friday night after allegedly crashing into a sign and fence before leaving his car in someone's yard. The university announced Del Rio's resignation yesterday.
And we know the importance of having health insurance for ourselves and our children, but did you know that you can also get insurance for your pets? Here's Melissa Kay with more.
The Better Business Bureau of Wisconsin is advising pet owners to know what they're agreeing to before signing up. Pet insurance policies can vary greatly in price and coverage. The BBB says to get to know the different types of plans, decide how much coverage you need, compare prices and plans, and read the fine print. You also want to check if there's a waiting period and insure your pet when they're young and healthy. You can potentially get the best deal if you ask about discounts for multiple pets or annual payments instead of paying monthly. You should also plan for premium increases as your pet ages. If pet insurance doesn't seem feasible, consider setting up an emergency fund for your pet instead and start saving. You can find out more at bbb.org.
Police are reminding us of 5 safety tips for preventing thefts from your car when it's parked in your driveway. Always lock the vehicle. It's the simplest yet most effective. And secure your garage. Park your car inside and store valuable items behind a closed, locked garage door. You can also install motion sensor lighting. Bright lights make the area less appealing for criminal activity. And keep your driveway clear of valuables, like bikes or tools, to reduce the temptation. And get to know your neighbors. Building a good relationship with them creates a sense of community vigilance within your neighborhood. I'm Brittany Merlot for WXCO.
The Bucks beat the Raptors. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. NBA, the Bucks with a 99-85 win over the Toronto Raptors at Fiserv Forum. What made the difference? Doc Rivers.
One of the things we've been harping on is getting to the paint, create more threes. Well, shot 56 of them today, and 50 of them were great shots. We just didn't shoot them well. But man, if we play like that every night and get those shots, we're going to be fine.
The Bucks host the Pistons tonight. NFL, the Packers getting ready to face the Bears Sunday. Linebacker J.J. Enagbari on what it was like last week, learning the team had traded Preston Smith to the Steelers.
We've been here all about 3 years here, and pretty much was a big part of my success and growth as a player and partly as a man and as a teammate. So losing him is definitely pretty much hit us close to the heart.
College football, the Badgers with 3 games remaining, starting with Oregon Saturday night.
The number 1 team in the country coming in, with an incredible opportunity in front of us. It's going to be a challenge. I think that's the thing that we got to make sure we stay focused on.
That's Badgers head coach Luke Fickell. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Dwayne Johnson has his quirks, but he might be booking himself too tight. According to Deadline, the star of Red One confirmed rumors that he was often late to the set and held up production from time to time. Director Jake Kasdan and co-star Chris Evans say it was no big deal because it is expected and more or less written into Johnson's contract because he is a very busy guy. The Rock also admitted to peeing into water bottles to save time. Word to the wise, if you're working on a set on a Dwayne Johnson film, bring a book to read and keep your water on your person. More Gal Gadot? Yes, please. The actress will star in a film called The Runner from Amazon MGM Studios. The thriller is set in London, where Gadot's character, a lawyer, attempts to rescue her abducted son while getting clues and cryptic messages from a mysterious caller. Sounds fun. The project is in the early stages of development with no release date set. Beyoncé might have been disappointed with her response from the Country Music Awards, but when it comes to Grammy nominations, she's at the top. Variety reports that Beyoncé has been nominated for 11 Grammys, including Artist, Song, and Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter. Not far behind are some other heavy hitters, including, you guessed it, Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, Billie Eilish, and New Kid on the Block, Chappell Roan. Roan and Carpenter also up for Best New Artist of the Year. Looks like I got shut out again. Taylor Sheridan apparently decided he does not have enough shows on TV, so he is teaming up with Blake Shelton for a new music reality show. The Road will follow a big-time music star around the country in search of the next big musical talent. Deadline reports competing artists will have the opportunity to open for an A-lister in various towns to win over crowds. The music superstar who will lead the search has not yet been revealed. The Road will launch in the fall of 2025 on CBS. The announcement seems like only a matter of time, but there will be a sequel to the prequel known as Wonka. The 2023 film, starring Timothée Chalamet, was one of the top 10 highest-grossing films of 2023, so the announcement was more a question of when, not if. Director Paul King says the script is in the early stages and will take place before Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and he might incorporate some exotic locations where they have to search for secret ingredients. The film Tremors from 1990 is getting a reboot. The team behind the horror flick, which was at times pretty funny, has reacquired the rights to their script and are contemplating how to approach another crack at the franchise, according to JoeBlow.com. Yes, that's a real site. The original film took place in a small Nevada town that saw residents terrified of graboids. Kevin Bacon, who was in the original, has shown interest in the sequel. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Peach Waba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be cloudy and a little breezy today with a high in the upper 40s this afternoon. Tonight, scattered showers, 39 tomorrow. Sprinkles, mostly cloudy with a high near 50 by Friday. Partly cloudy with a high of 51. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 39.
That's your WXCO Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at bullfallsradio.com. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.